Alright, now let's put that overlapping pendulum seaweed effect kind of to the wings of this bird. Right now you can see the texture is not working. If you just select the bird, go to the texture folder, you'll see the Phong E. I guess the parrot is what I'm, oh, yeah, Phong E. Select that, click on that, and then under your scenes folder, we're doing this textures, source images. It's the first one. There he is. Alright. Weird clipping issue might be fixed by tweaking the camera settings. Go select your camera and then hit Control A. Your near clipping plane and far clipping plane. Let's turn the near clipping plane to 1 and that fixes it. But basically they were so close to each other, it was kind of overdoing itself to kind of show it. Because if you get it really close, you can see polygons disappear. I think if I increase the near clipping plane to 0.1, you see more of it. And same thing, if you go really far away, it eventually will turn itself off. But if I change my far clipping plane to say maybe 100, it goes away until I come in a little bit closer. So often you want these to be really extreme, but as you can see, it can cause problems on itself. Alright, so this bird I want flying, and I'm going to use the kind of this arrow that I want him to be flying with, kind of on the 0 line here. So let's select this. If you want to make your life a little bit easier, what's going to happen is when I move this, you can see the feet want to stay here. And then it's really hard to find that control. We're dealing with IK now. Let's just pull the feet down, so when we do this, it won't be problematic to get to the feet. Alright. And, oops. Trying to get my body. Basically, if I move this arrow, this is how I want it to kind of pivot and rotate from. So if I want, I could probably push it, just get a little bit more in the chest area. The feet has IK. There's a system in here that's basically not allowing it to stretch. If I say select the head, I'm not sure. Yeah, I could translate the head, as you can see, it just stretches. Same thing for the wing. If I move this up or down, it just stretches it from that spot. This one, if you move the feet, it will bend the knees. The wings and most of everything else is what we've been working on has been forward kinematics. These legs are IK, inverse kinematics. Information is being set up the chain. Now I need to find the K here. I think this is right here. So this K is the knee control, and if the knee they pop, they're pointing towards the knee. So if you move this side to side, you can see the knees pointing to them. All right. So kind of getting his flight down. Let's get his head a little bit up, like he knows where he's flying. Go. He looks kind of like a flying bird. Take the wings. The cool thing with this rig, the wings are set. So if you actually, the geometry is on that layer. So if you don't want to select the geometry, turn it to reference. So I'm selecting both sets of both sides of the wings. Only the wings, so the only things I want lit up. Go to this green control, they'll both rotate up. I'm going to go extreme, just get a little cross here, and this is my first key pose. Select everything, drop a key. I have this set to 21 frames, so because the wings flapping is going to go a little bit faster than a second. So it's like 2/3 of a second. Let's go to frame 11, also drop a key. So when those wings come down, he's going to go up. So what you want to do is, if you move him up, his feet stay in place. So select his core and select his feet. And let's lift those up together. Not a lot. So he's gonna kind of come up on those wings. There's kind of a push up there. Now let's reselect the wings. That can be a little difficult, but we'll be able to do it. Select. I'm holding down Shift Control to select these here. If you work your way down, you're gonna see them highlight up. If you work your way up, it's gonna highlight this one when I pick this one. So I'm not sure if that one's selected, but I know it's not selected. Let me deselect that up there. So I have my wings now. We could probably just reverse this, -43, and they come down. And then we have kind of a flying bird. Not too bad. Mechanical. I'm going to lift as he comes up, maybe drop the head a little bit so there's a little life there. There we go. He's a moving. Now, let's make this movement even better. Right now it's a little, like I said, mechanical. The feet, I have them coming up and down. As they come up, I'm going to go kind of put a breakdown pose in there, kind of drop those toes. And when they come back down, lift up those toes. They have a little roll in there. I'm going to jump to the graph editor, and this is going to create an S shape. What you're going to probably want to do before we modify everything, select everything, cycle, cycle. There we go. Go to my rotation. Pretty symmetrical on that. Let's smooth these out. I'm going to flatten them first, and then rotate them up. Same thing here. And if you've done it too much, maybe that might be a little bit too much up and down motion. It's pretty simple. You can just select the curve and let's scale it down. So now it's going to just rotate a little less. Kind of like the bigger rotation. I'm going to put that bigger rotation in there. It's a little over animated. Alright, so that's working well. The wings, I'm going to do something similar, but different. I want the wings to flap a little harder. So let's go into the graph editor. For some strange reason, this one's kind of straight. Let's make that flat. I'm going to put a weighted tangent on here. So select the curves, weight, and then I'm going to select all the same sides, and oops, hit W, it was on scale, and let's stretch it. So I've selected this one, and this one, and there, as you can see, everything's making things a little bit more extreme. So it pops down a little harder. But overall, you can see it flaps better. I can actually watch. If I hit flat, everything's back to normal. Looks good. Let me undo that and let's make it go extreme again. Now it just has a little bit more kick. It's subtle. Like I said, it's subtle. Next, we're going to do some offsetting. So I'm going to deselect the main parts of the wings and get to more of the elbows of it. And shift it by a couple of frames. That's looking pretty good. Then if you want, you can just select the tips. Shift that. Now we have more of a flap. So overall it's nice, but I think it's missing something. It might be going too far back here. So I'm going to select my peaks and just pull it down a little bit. Same thing here. Make them a little stiffer. Kind of works, kind of doesn't. All right. Kind of like the more up, so let me get it back up there. So I'm undoing what I just did. I think I need to undo more. There we go. I really like it in slow-mo. I really do. I'm thinking I may want these further down. I'm going to take this and pull that in. Go. So I just pulled the base ones in. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think I'm liking that better. But you can kind of see that they're now overlapping right here. So let's take these wing tips. Let's lift them out a little bit. There we go. Pretty good. So the wings are basically done. We have a good, pretty good flying bird here. So far, so good. You can kind of see that the feet are interesting. They're rotating, but there's no translation to them. Feet are really simple, and it gives you so much bang for your buck with just a simple thing. We're going to offset them by 2 frames. And it creates this nice little wobble through the foot. And then we're going to do it to the head. 1, 2, make sure it's flat. And the head is moving. So we have the head bobbling pretty nicely. Here's the interesting thing about the offsetting. We make the head bobble this way. If you offset it the other way, you get a different feel. So let's shift it to the other direction. Now it has more of a bobble feel than kind of leading. One where the head kind of feels a little bit more in place. The other one feels like it's more reacting off of its motion. So they both have an interesting feel for them. This is a little bit more stable. This is like in a sense the serious one over the goofy one. I'm going to leave it the serious one. So overall, that's working pretty nice. Now let's make the bird fly away. So right now he's just flapping his wings, so we could take this big old arrow thing that moves him. That's why I wanted to put him there. Because we could also do, if we wanted to, we could bank him a little bit here and there. Have a little fun with him. Alright, we got to make sure there's no keys in between. Delete. And then I'll move him out. See if that's a good speed. You can kind of feel the slowing down. If you want something to keep moving at one consistent rate, you need it to be a straight line. That feels at a good speed. So we have it repeating. Let's add, say, another 200 frames in here. And he'll fly away, right? Nope, he'll keep popping back, even though it's cycling. There's 2 ways to kind of get it to keep going. I'm just going to show you one for right now. Right now we've done cycling, curves, post-infinity, cycle. There's cycle with offset, which is also this button here. As you see, the line continues from where it started. So if you select both lines and go click, click, this one, he will, or she will, it will fly forever. feels a little slow. I'll just take this line, this key, move it up a little higher. Gives him a little bit more speed. Alright, he's flying. Now, I want to modify this path. So I'm going to have to go all the way to the very end. And there's no keys out here, as you can see. But I can drop a key here, and then flatten it. Oh, no, straighten it. Now I can modify things in between. Let's pop a motion trail on the arrow. Wrong button. Apply. There's my path. Well, let's say I wanted to come up and then go down. Well, I can just take him and lift him up. Now he goes down, and he will also go up. But not the best flight path. Better flight path would be for him to be more of the side view, getting that arrow kind of lined up with that. And he peaks the top. Let's level it off. And then have him come back down. Now he'll fly up, level off, come back down. You can see he should level off a little bit, like coming down a little bit faster. So here he should probably still be pointed up, and it starts to kind of curve out around here. So let's pull him back up, and he comes around, and do the same thing over here. Now he's flying up and coming down in a more natural way. Using that pathing works pretty well. You can see it kind of straighten out there. We can just add another key in there. There we go. Probably same thing over here. Not really. Well, let's do another thing. Let's maybe have him come over here. Now we need to angle. I'm using the outer control here just to rotate him and point him in that direction. And that's worked out pretty nicely. He should hopefully have evened out over here. And let's see what these other spots. Line them up. Line them up. Oops. Off by a frame. Instead of using the arrow, I use the red line, which is kind of going down that arrow to line it up with that. Now let's take a look and see how well that works. Much better flight path. Having that nose drive the direction that it's going makes it work a lot better. Maybe we can put a bank in here. I take a little bit of that bank out. He's starting to lose control a little bit here. You can see the curve starts to get a little wobbly. Going to undo what I just did. Back to where I banked it, because overall I like this position here. I'm going to key it here, and just bank it here. See what happens. He'll really turn. Oops. Make sure you do it on the correct frame or you get a little pop like you saw. That looks better. Let's turn off the controls. Looks like a very deliberate turn. So let's see about, it's not bad that it looks deliberate, I guess. But let's taper this turn in a little bit. So the blue is what I turned him on. I don't know how well this will look, but we'll see. Pretty good. I think I want his head a little bit more down here. Same thing here. There. Much more natural flight than it just being kind of flat. Looks like it's turning a little bit here that I'm not a fan of. That's not too bad. Optical illusion. We got a flying bird. Kind of keep that tail a little bit down. There we go. Yay! First real character. Or the first one I'm going over. Might have played around with already. Other things. Alright. I'll do a quick play blast and be done.